So I feel like we all have fragrances that we do like and ones that we don't like, and some that are kind of in the middle. But I feel like it's my place here to bring you guys not only the fragrances that I really enjoy, and not only the ones that I dislike, but also the ones that aren't really talked about much here in the community. Ones that when you get on here online on YouTube and you're searching fragrances, you don't really see them in the list. In today's video, what I'm going to bring you are going to be 10 fragrances that I feel like are kind of overlooked and not really talked about much here on YouTube that I really enjoy. Now, some of these fragrances I had talked about in the past, and some of these fragrances are pretty popular. But with most of these, I feel like they don't get the attention that they deserve. I hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. Number 10 on this list is really only talked about by a handful of reviewers and people that really only mess with like the cheaper options versus the strictly niche, reviewers. Nothing wrong with them at all whatsoever. You review what you review, but I do feel like these are overlooked and not talked about enough. Number 10 is basically going to go to an entire house or a company versus an individual line or fragrance itself. It goes to the Playboy line. For as much faith as a lot of you guys have put into Playboy in itself, you think you put a little more trust into their fragrances. And just to show you guys this bottle, pretty much all of them look pretty much exactly the same. They all have the bunny here on the back and the wording over here, right there, and with a little cheap little crimp cap with atomizer. So the first that I had there was New York. This that I have here is called Play It Wild. The New York has a bit of like a tea note in there that I'm not sure if they're trying to represent how New York smells or just the general vibe, but it is a very heavy compliment getter that I have in my collection. There's no denying that. And this one right here is called Play It Wild. It's very pleasant, it's sweet, it has a bit of spice to it. These are pretty good. And from when I've worn these, they have projected out, they have lasted a little while. But again, they are only $5 fragrances. But that should tell you something, that a $5 fragrance can actually, pull more compliments than something that you pay, $50 to $100 for. Now, I'm not saying that this is gonna pull massive amount of compliments, that it's gonna be a major projector, that the performance is through the roof or anything like that. But for it being $5, it is not get talked about nearly enough on here. And at number 9, what I have here is gonna be a flanker. It's gonna be a flanker of one of the best-selling fresh fragrances that are on the market. It's the best-selling fragrance on Amazon right now. Not the one that I have here, but this is a flanker to that. It goes to, well, you can't really see it off my bottle because it's coming off, but this is Nautica Voyage N83. This is basically a dialed-back version of Nautica Voyage. It's a little more tame. It's not quite as piercing. It's not quite as synthetic. It's a bit more clean in my opinion. This is definitely much more of an out-of-shower kind of fragrance. Nautica Voyage does have that aspect to it that is it's definitely a cologne. This could very easily pass as like a body wash. It's nice along with a lot of the other flankers, but this one in particular is just one that I've seen, talked about some. For being a flanker to the #1 best-selling Amazon fragrance, I feel like it should be talked about just a little bit more. You should put a little more spec on Nautica Voyage in '83 at least. But here is the bottle. My only guess with this is that they put more money into the juice than they did with the bottle, because this comes off. And so what we have here is going to be Nautica Voyage, and left here is going to be N83 Nautica Voyage. As you guys can see, the juice is just a little bit different. It's a little bit darker in N83. Cap is going to be gray as well. It's a bit darker. It's not quite honestly as bright as this is, and it kind of shadows over into how the actual fragrances itself. Luckily, this Nautica is still on there. It's not rubbed off just yet. And on the bottom here, you'll see that on the right here, this is Nautica Voyage with the larger tag. On my left here, you'll have the little sticker, so it's not quite the same. With the distribution on this thing being exactly the same as Nautica Voyage is. That is Nautica Voyage N83. And next on this list is going to be one that is actually the original, the non-intense version of a fragrance that I feel like is also not talked about enough. It's pretty much nothing like the original, or nothing like the non-intense version, because it's a cologne, but they didn't even try to make it like an intense version. They just made a completely different version. The non-intense version that I'm talking about here is going to be Club de NUIT Man. Now, from my understanding, this is a cologne of 1 million, which I've smelled in the past, but I've never owned it. This is a great winter scent for me. It's not going to be something that I'm going to throw on for the spring, for summer, because it is a bit sweet, and there's a bit of cinnamon in there that's going to warm you up. There might be some nutmeg in there, maybe, but I'll go and show you guys this bottle real quick. And here we have the front with the Armaf medallion here. This one is kind of really on there. It comes off apparently. So there we go. Okay. And on the back here, you'll see it's clear, same silver cap there. Pick that guy off. It's real heavy. It's just like the Club de NUIT Intense Man, minus the color changes. bottom here, you'll have your batch code. It's a very thick, nice bottle here, guys. And just to show you guys the comparison between these two, this right here is going to be your standard Club de NUIT Man, and here is your Club de NUIT Intense Man. This is going to be your Creative Ventures clone. This is going to be your 1 million clone. I'm not sure why they decided to make these two 1 million Ventus, because they're two drastically different fragrances, but that's what they did. Now there is one more flanker of those three that I'm aware of. I would talk about more, but I've never smelled it and I've never even seen a review on it, so I can't really speak on what it's a clone of, if it's good, if it's worth even talking about. But I do know that the Club de NUIT Man is not talked about nearly enough on it. And for number 7, we're gonna go up just a little bit in price. This is gonna go to Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Now yes, Bleu de Chanel is talked about almost endlessly here on YouTube in terms of reviewing and in general, but I feel like this one in particular is not talked about nearly enough. The EDT, massively, every channel has a review of it. I personally don't have a review of it, but every single channel does. EDP makes everyone's top office list, top compliment list, but you very rarely see this. Now it's still relatively kind of new, so that might be why, but for me, this is the best formulation of that fragrance, the best concentration of that fragrance. To me, it's more unique than the EDT, it's more unique than the EDP, and it smells better than both of those. Now, that's just my opinion. And next what we have on this list is gonna be a fragrance that is a summer release. This comes from a house that puts out these summer releases every year. It's designer, doesn't last, but it smells good. It goes to CK1 Summer. Now, in my opinion, they did a pretty good job with this one. It makes it so that it's not too much like sunscreen. This basically really does invoke just the summer feeling. And on my skin, it just responds real well. I will be coming to you guys with a review of this. I think this is the 2019 release, which smells a lot like, this may be a bit sweeter, but to me, what this smells like a lot is the 2020 release of Calvin Klein Eternity. So there's a bit more fruit that's in this one, and there's a bit more sweetness coming from this one. I still prefer this one, but these are just still, in my opinion, not really talked about enough. Like, I have not seen an entire list going over the CK1 Summers. That to me would be informative. And next, you guessed it, we have a fragrance that is a flanker. It comes from a house that, again, not really talked about much on here. This is a designer house. It is a fresh fragrance and a fresh release from last year. It is Kenneth Cole Mankind Legacy. Still definitely one of the coolest bottles that I own. This is a blind buy that I picked up last year that I just didn't return because I really enjoyed it. This is a very soothing, very office-friendly fragrance. This is one that's not really gonna stand out in the crowd. It's gonna be one that when you get up close to someone, they're gonna definitely smell that they smell great. It's just close to the skin after a little while. These citruses that are on top kind of dialed it back into a more of a woodsy style fragrance, woodsy aquatic style fragrance. And it just smells very nice. I might honestly toss it on tonight after I get out in the shower, maybe. I know that Chad at A Gentleman's Journey did review this. He at least talked about it, and I think that might be where I saw the initial talk about it. So shout out Chad at A Gentleman's Journey for the heads up on this one. I would have never gotten it, I don't think, if I wouldn't have seen yours. I don't know if I got mine first before that, but I remember seeing yours and digging in and kind of doing a little bit more research on the notes and the company itself. And also, guys, this line didn't really talk about. The Mankind line, there's not a lot on here. I'm gonna guess it's not really talked about much due to the performance issues, the projection, the longevity issues that come from these fragrances, and they aren't beast mode fragrances. But guys, not every fragrance in your collection has to be beast mode. For example, you can't go into work every single day smelling like an ice cube, super loud ice cube. It's just not how that one's gonna work. Same as you can't go into work smelling like a ripe, tobacco plant every single day at work. Something that's super loud, push out across the room. Sometimes you want something like this. Something that sits closer to the skin, something that just smells clean and refreshing. Like, can you imagine wearing Club de NUIT Intense Man every day? Or even Naxos every single day? It would hurt my nose. And next we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this list, y'all. What we have here is gonna be a freshie. It's gonna be one that I've just found out 2 weeks ago about. I wouldn't have known about it because from my understanding, there's only one other reviewer that really talked about it a lot on here. That I didn't even know that they were a reviewer until 2 months ago. It's a cheapie, it's affordable, it's one that's talked about pretty much on every single discounter site. It is Blue Seduction by Antonio Banderas. And here is the bottle. And yes, I did get the big old 200 ml because I had faith in it because there were like a whole bunch of reviews on it. They're all positive, and I love freshies. And from my understanding, it's basically like Versace Man of Fresh minus the star fruit. Not starfish, last time I said starfish. Versace Man of Fresh minus the star fruit for less money. You guys know how much Versace Man of Fresh is talked about on here. Almost like at an exhausting amount. Basically like, fine, I'll buy it, okay, just stop talking about it. When in reality, you probably could pick something like this and it might smell a little better. Like, we were wrong there, I'm saying, it's my opinion. Now these last two do not get the love that they deserve. Now they get the love from most of the fragrance community, they get the love from most of people that are around fragrances, but they don't get the love from the public, the general public, the people that aren't collectors. Number 2 is gonna go to Acqua di Gio Absolu. This is the sweeter, woodier take on the Acqua di Gio line. Even Jeremy Fragrance said he didn't really enjoy this too much. He then said that he enjoyed the Acqua di Gio Absolu Instinct, which I'm not a fan of. I don't like the seaweed note, but hey, this is still an okay fragrance. Honestly, more than okay. Honestly, I tend to wear this more over the Perfumo just because it's more uplifting to me. Sure, Perfumo can be worn super nice places, mega compliment getter. This, in my opinion, is just more versatile. And if I must add, it's more complimented. This is more favored from people than the Perfumo, from my personal experience. And the last one on here is also favored by the reviewers, not so much by people that are out buying fragrances daily. It's one that I bought and I started collecting a line because of it. It's one that I have faith in that line or in that house due to this fragrance, which does make a lot of sense because I think this one has been discontinued. I know that it's on their website still. Someone said in my comments that it's still on the website, but this one that I really enjoy. It's one that I'll definitely be wearing probably through the entire bottle coming up this summer. It is L'Homme Ultime. What I get in the opening of this is basically like a punch in the face of ginger with the L'Homme DNA. It takes me back to just like a crisp, cold morning. This is one that kind of creates a scent memory for me. It doesn't last the longest time, probably lasts about 6 hours on my skin, but it's great compliment. It performs as you want it to. It's a freshie with that ginger spiciness to it that makes it really nice. And if I'm not mistaken, there's some rose in here. There's some cardamom possibly. I'm down to half a bottle. I will be picking up a 200 ml bottle of it when I can, which will hopefully be soon enough. Someone mentioned months back that they had a 200 ml for like 70 bucks. If you're watching this and you see this, hit me up again. I might come through with that one because I will not be happy camper when this thing is empty. But guys, that's my 10 fragrances, or at least 10 certain houses that I feel like aren't talked about enough. That, like I said, I feel like that we're here for not only talk about the fragrances that we do like and ones that we don't like, but ones that haven't really been discovered enough yet. Because if I can help you find your signature scent so that you only have to own one, hey, good stuff, right? But y'all, that's that. And like I always say, keep it gent and love your scent, and I'll see you all tomorrow.